Hi, boys and girls. It is the 8th of March. It's been a long time since I made a video. Been very busy. I've been making videos and podcasts in Russian. Found a good video editor and started playing with it like a small kid. And today I want to congratulate all the women on International Women's Day. As they say, men have only two problems. A man doesn't have a woman, and a man has a woman. There's two problems in life. Today I'm going to talk about absolute faith in a system. You know, in America, they have this tendency to paint the communists, and I'm not a communist, I'm a monarchist. But let's talk a little bit of reality, because this applies to the West in general also. They have a tendency of painting the communists as this absolute evil. People that, you know, something right out of an American comic book or a James Bond film. An evil guy that just wants to do evil because, you know, why not? It's evil. Well, the problem is no, they weren't like that. They wanted to do good. They wanted to improve the lot of the common man. They've had their vision of how to do it through their economic system that they believed in. And they thought that this system would improve the lot of the common man. So they were working toward the betterment of everyone. But of course, you can't better everyone because somebody always loses and somebody always wins. Fortunately, that's the reality of the world. So the people that didn't see this as a betterment, or people who were losing, such as, say, the middle class, when they had to be rebuilt for the lower class and then rebuilt a new middle class out of the lower class after everyone gets lowered into the lower class. You know, as the working class. And that's basically how it went. The existing middle class, the upper class, people had ownership of land. And I'm not talking about big owners, even very small owners, like some of my family from my father's side. Small farmers. They weren't exactly thrilled with all this. Well, the problem is the communists were absolute believers, the Bolsheviks. They were absolute believers that they were doing the best and the good for all of humanity, or the vast majority of humanity. And now you got this group of people standing in the way that don't believe the way you believe. So first you try to change their minds. And when you obviously can't change their minds, some changed, went over to the side of the Bolsheviks. Others didn't. The majority of those that were against didn't. So you got to remove them. At first they tried, a lot of it actually tried to remove them more or less peacefully. There were actually quite a few cruise ships that were sent to Germany with exiles. They didn't just start executing everybody. They did execute certain groups that fought against them from the start. But obviously the people that left, they still loved Russia. They loved their version of Russia as opposed to the Bolshevik version of Russia. And they were working toward undermining the Bolsheviks to return their version of Russia, which is to be expected, and nothing wrong with that. It's part of human nature. So the Bolsheviks, as fanatical believers, they went to the next step. Well, if we can't change them, and we can't peacefully get rid of them so that they don't work against us, then we've got to do something forcefully. Or if we can't change them and they peacefully don't want to leave because it's their motherland, then we got to do something against them, physically. And that turned into the mass repressions and the violence. In some areas it turned very quickly, in some areas it turned very slowly, but it all turned the same way. And it can't not turn because you have radical believers. Now, let's substitute Bolshevism and communism with liberalism and Americanism. And you get the exact same thing. Oh, you don't want to be like us? We'll bomb your country and murder you. Or become like us, whether you like it or not. You know, let your kids be sodomized, spit on God, and etc., and give up all your traditions. Because we are the betterment of humanity, because we're the exclusive humans that know how everyone else has to live. America, modern West, is absolutely no different from the Bolsheviks. In no way in their fanatical belief. And those people inside the country that aren't changing. Sooner than later, especially the way everything is rolling right now with the speed that it's rolling, sooner than later, you will have the same actions taken against you as people had taken against them in the Soviet Union. Doesn't matter what they call themselves. When you have fanatical believers in one system, and only one system that cannot change, they cannot modify away from that absolutist view, you're going to get what you're going to get. So, that's how it is. For those people living in the U.S., you know, I've been telling people this for 20 years, 15, absolutely. My friends have their, a lot of those friends aren't friends anymore because they're brainwashed. They became brainwashed idiots who believe all the crap they see in the media about Russia. Oh, you're the evil invaders and all that. They don't want to see the whole story. They don't want to see the war started in 2014 by America through its proxies against the Russian population in eastern Ukraine. They don't want to see all that. They don't believe. I'm not saying that they're liberals. That's an interesting thing. Most of those people, I didn't have a lot of liberal friends. The liberal friends pretty much unfriended me because that's how liberals are. That's because they have fanatical views on things. But these people are conservatives. And if you think about it, Russia is an ideal type of society for them up to the point that they believe everything that same media tells them on foreign affairs that they don't believe the same media tells them on local affairs, which is this dichotomy or disconnect in the American conservative psyche. When those talking liberal heads tell them this guy's evil, this country's evil, they believe it like it's God's own word. When they tell them that something about inside the U.S., oh, no, they're wrong. And they are wrong. But they know these guys are wrong and are BSing them. But once it goes outside the U.S. borders, those very same lying reporters are now God's prophets. That's the mental, I won't even say hurdle. It's the mental breakdown in the average American conservative. Also comes from an absolute lack of education on what goes on in the rest of the world. I mean, they're like little children believing anything they're being told. Not everybody. And thank God someone like Tucker Carlson came along that they actually listened to and shed some light. He didn't shed a hell of a lot of light, but he did shed light when he talked to Vladimir Vladimirovich. And it shed some light on Moscow. Now, the rest of Russia looks a lot like Moscow. Of course, Moscow is richer. It's the capital. But most of the Russian cities are like that these days. If Tucker comes back, I'll be more than happy to show him around. But, so that's the reality of it. And again, I really never was able to understand that American mentality. Even though I spent half my life there. There's some things about the American mentality. Maybe I just got, I was too educated about what goes on in the rest of the world to understand that mentality. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Leave that in the comments. But that's how it is. And Europeans, by the way, don't get up on your uppity horse that you're better than Americans. Most of you Europeans are absolutely no different. I talked to a reporter, a Russian reporter, who went to cover the French farmer protests. And he's like, the farmers are protesting, but they can't comprehend that their crappy lot in life, the lack of support from their governments, the higher taxes, the higher energy costs, all is linked to their support for Ukraine, for this dictatorship that is Ukraine, that they keep claiming and thinking is some kind of democracy or some other crap, just because they allow gay parades. Oh, they're a democracy. They're the worst kind of autocracy. That even denies people their traditional lives. They go into every aspect of their life and try to ruin it to whatever the Western dictates are. But these farmers, and it's not just the French. It's the Germans. It's the British. It's a total disconnect. It's a mental lack of comprehension that the shit lot that you have that's getting worse and worse is linked to what you support, to the government that you support and what it supports. It's that inability to logically comprehend the world around you. Sad, but that's the vast majority of Western civilization. Modern civilization, if you can call it civilization. I call it degradation and a lack of civilization. But a lot of these people are absolute believers themselves. They may not believe internally what they're being told about how they're supposed to live, but they believe in that great Western crusade crap. Oh, do they ever believe that? It gives them meaning in life. It makes them feel special. They're Westerners. Will West-splain everything to you how you're supposed to live. Their own societies are breaking down into post-apocalyptic shitholes, but they're going to tell you how you're supposed to structure your society. Because we're Westerners. We're better than you. So think about it. And you know, as they say in the Bible, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. Go with God.